My deepest apologies. I think I see Josie online. Josie has joined. Good evening, Josie. Thank you so much for joining. I've been speaking for the past 5 or 8 minutes, and I think thank you so much for letting me know that you're not able to hear me. I did not even realize that I was on mute since I don't have anybody else on the call. So thank you for letting me know, and grateful for your presence here, Josie. Thank you for joining. So I was discussing this topic that Eckhart had talked about, or somebody had asked Eckhart, is there free will, right? And I don't know how you feel about it. I know a lot of people here in the United States, and before I actually launch into this conversation, I wanted to say, this is the Facebook Live right before the Thanksgiving holiday. Next Thursday will be the Thanksgiving holiday here in the US. So wishing that is the 27th of November, and today is the 19th of November, year 2025. Welcome to the Facebook Live, everyone. I know I was speaking for a while and I was on mute while I was speaking. So welcome to everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and wishing everybody a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. Enjoy your holiday with your friends and family, and give them a lot of presents, forget everything. So here comes the question about free will, right? And here is the conscious choice making right before the Thanksgiving holiday. What is going to arise during these holidays? Eckhart talks about this could happen during Christmas, any big holiday. We will be run by our conditioned patterns. So when we say we will be run by our conditioned patterns, let's say there was a certain aunt that always behaved a certain way, right? Like a certain aunt that was always sarcastic. Every time y'all met, she would like remark, oh, you can't even keep your house clean. You never could keep your house properly set. You cannot set the table correctly, or you can never cook this mac and cheese the way mac and cheese should be cooked. So they will be running their conditioned patterns, right? There's certain uncle that will always get drunk and then always have certain altercations, right? The drama plays out. I don't know how many people know that every holiday there are certain characters in your family that the same same type of drama plays out over and over and over again, and the same kind of emotions arise, and the same kind of uh, you know, arguments or negative situations arise. So my offering this time, right before the Thanksgiving holiday, is how can we actually break out of those patterns? So we're talking about free will. And what Eckhart had told or responded to this person when they spoke about free will is, Eckhart says we have no free will. Either we are in the grip of ego and therefore no free will, or we are awakened and consciousness is doing everything, and again there is no free will. Actually, it's not so much as consciousness is doing everything. It's more like our presence is, presence itself arises, right? So as long as we are run by our conditioned patterns are the ones that will, we will just repeat our conditioned patterns if there is no presence arising within us. And one of the things to remember is where Eckhart talks about what is the ego, the structure of the ego, the content of awareness and awareness, right? And the content of awareness is if we were to boil down, what are we experiencing all the time? And what we are experiencing all the time are sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. That's all we are experiencing is sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. So if you remove that content of awareness, and we are just awareness by itself, then that awareness is the one that will allow for free will to arise. I know somebody joined on the audio. Can you identify
Yes,
yourself?
it's me, Poonam.
Oh, Wyatt. Good evening,
Hi,
Wyatt.
thank you so much for all the support you offer me and everyone.
You're most welcome. Good evening, Patricia. Thank you for joining. I don't know. I was talking about free will. So go ahead, Wyatt. You were going to ask a question, right?
Oh, thank you so much for remembering. Pardon me.
Are you not feeling well?
Yes, I do have a question here. There are two posts that I'm referring to, but I want to go to I just want to acknowledge what you do, because these posts of wisdom, I call lessons of wisdom, that Eckhart posts and Joe Dispenza posts. There are a couple that, these are both from Eckhart from about 3 to 4 weeks ago. And one of them is about how it says, I'm quoting Eckhart, since resistance is inseparable from the mind, relinquishment of resistance, surrender, is the end of the mind as your master. The imposter pretending to be you, the false God. And of course, he puts a small g. He goes on to say that all judgment and all negativity will dissolve, for the realm of being, which had been obscured by the mind, then opens up. Suddenly a great stillness arises within you and unfathomable sense of peace, which I experienced earlier today. It's wonderful. It goes beyond any human idea I ever had or feeling about peace or and love. And of course, there's great joy that Eckhart continues with. And within that joy is love. Because this is what I was always searching for, because I had forgotten since I was a little boy what that experience was all about. And at the innermost core, Eckhart goes on to say, there is the sacred, the immeasurable. That which cannot be named, I don't call it finding God, because how can you find that which was never lost? The very life that you are? The word God is limiting, and this is the piece of the puzzle that I needed to discover, and then I'll get to my question, because I didn't know how to live. He says the word God is limiting not only because of thousands of years of misperception and misuse, but also because it implies an entity other than you. God is being itself, not a small b for being. I'll repeat it. God is being itself, not a being. There can be no subject-object relationship here, no duality, no you and God. God realization is the most natural thing there is. The amazing and incomprehensible fact is not that you can become conscious of God, but that you are not conscious of God. The way of the cross that you mentioned is the old way to enlightenment, and until recently, it was the only way. But don't dismiss it or underestimate its efficacy. It still works. The way of the cross is a complete reversal. It means that the worst thing in your life, your cross to bear, turns into the best thing that ever happened to you by forcing you into surrender, into death, forcing you to become as nothing, to become as God, because God too is no thing. So a couple days later, you posted something else by Eckhart. And that first I just read leads me into my question. Eckhart writes the following that you posted 3 weeks ago. These words uttered by Jesus are one of the most powerful and direct pointers to the truth, uppercase capital T, if it's understood correctly. If misinterpreted, which I did my whole life in my Christian walk, there was really just an ego-driven talk. If misinterpreted, Eckhart says, however, they become a great obstacle. Jesus speaks of the innermost I am, the essence identity of every man and woman, every life form, in fact. He speaks of the life that you are. Some Christian mystics have called it the Christ within. Buddhists call it your Buddha nature. For Hindus, it is Atman, the indwelling God. When you are in touch with that dimension within yourself, and being in touch with it is your natural state, not some miraculous achievement, all your actions and relationships will reflect the oneness with all life that you sense deep within. This is love. Don't get attached to any one word. You can substitute Christ for presence if that is more meaningful to you. Christ is your God essence, or the self, as it is sometimes called in the East. The only difference between Christ and presence is that Christ refers to your indwelling divinity regardless of whether you are conscious of it or not, whereas presence means your awakened divinity or God essence. So here's my question. Given that consciousness, which is not a thing, consciousness in form is the universe, planet Earth, and all of us on this call, and every living creature on the earth. So my question is this. Given that this human experience we're having is the physical form of consciousness, then is it not always there within us? Even when we haven't reawakened to it? Please tell me your take on this.
It is always within us and all around us. Why? That's what Dr. Joe teaches even during the meditations. That even the space in front of me is steeped in consciousness. Does that make sense?
I don't.
Like just imagine that there is a fabric in which everything exists, and that fabric is consciousness.
Right.
So everything exists within consciousness. It's not even like we are not experiencing. Dr. Deepak Chopra kind of explains, right? How are we experiencing the external world? No, there's a picture of that world into our, retina, correct? Into our eyes, we get a picture of the world and we experience the world within ourselves.
Are you saying Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Please continue.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. It's a little different calling in, I think, for me than using, oh, never mind, forget that. I'm not Mr. Spock, and that's not my identity. So,
Did you
so
want
our-
to did you want to join Zoom like normal instead of calling in?
well, I attempted it a few times and it wouldn't allow me to join the meeting, so I called in.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, hey, not to worry. Thank you. You're such a wonderful woman of empathy and great compassion. Wow. Okay. So when you say the fabric, I can picture a toroidal electromagnetic field going around me. And I also see within me a consciousness, as you said, with feelings last Friday on the call, that inner consciousness monitors all my human senses. And I'm also picturing that this fabric isn't just within me and outside of me, it is my human body in form. So therefore, when Eckhart speaks of the Christ within, it's there no matter what. And so am I, when I reawaken, the moment after I've been consumed with ego, when I reawaken and I'm now part of, I never left it, presence, but my ego distracted me. When my ego's not distracting me and I reawaken, am I reawakening to something that was different than the Christ consciousness? Because it seems to me that it's the same thing. And yet I sense that it's not. And that's what I would like to experience through your eyes once again, so I could experience the clarity as Eckhart's expressing it. And I think the way you do express it and Eckhart are one and the same.
So when you say we are in our ego, and this is something that I was trying to explain right before you joined, Wyatt, there is also a question that people ask Eckhart about free will. Is there free will, right? So kind of your question is related to that. You have to realize that when awareness arises, right? When you say I was in my ego, what actually the more accurate expression of that should be, there was not enough presence power within me. I was just the content of my awareness, which is thoughts, images, feelings. Like thoughts kept running through my mind, and then I would have emotions like fear, hatred, frustration, anger, love, empathy, compassion. I would have these emotions, And then there were images arising, right? Because the world is imagination.
Right.
I mean, there's a 3D world. You see images, right? So I was
Right.
just a bundle of thoughts, emotions, and images until a certain awareness arose in me. And now I can see my thoughts, images, and emotions.
Right.
So that aspect within you that can see the thought, can see the emotion, can see the images is awareness or your Christ consciousness.
Well, you
That is,
said over, I'm sorry, I got to remember what a satellite called. Please continue.
that is the I am that I am that Jesus is referring to, is that presence in which all this content of awareness, like in chapter 1 or 2 of, I think chapter 2 of A New Earth, Eckhart differentiates between there's the structure of the ego, and then there's the content of the ego, right? And the content
Right.
arising is the thoughts, images, and feelings. Does that make sense?
You know, I understand, and it spawned a thought here, which is that so is the manifestation of consciousness in the form of my human body, where I'm having this human experience, is that separate from what you just explained in presence? Because it sounds to me like, and I just clarify my question a little more for you. It sounds to me like the only consciousness that matters is the one you're explaining, of presence over the Christ within. And that the Christ within is an identity of form, a concept. Because humans, for a long time, have been relationship-oriented creatures, so that the only way our conscious mind can relate to what we're discussing is if my conscious intellect creates a conceptualized creature so that my mind, conscious, intellect, can find a way to relate to that which is purely contextual. Is that what you're saying?
No. What I'm saying is whether you so first of all, realize why to experience the experience of consciousness, that we are one with that oneness, that we are one
Yes.
with that wholeness. It is not a verbal thinking mind kind of experience.
Oh, I'm aware of that, because that's
So
the peaceful place I love.
So we cannot express it in words, right? We cannot talk about it in words, but we are trying to express it in words. Does that make sense?
Yes, completely.
So we're trying to explain it in words. So the best way to know of consciousness or to know of it may be a different set of words that we are using. We may say to know of the Christ within, to know of that I am, right? Any words that we are using is not it. Does that make sense?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so, but whether you say consciousness, whether you say awareness, whether you say higher being, whether you say beingness, whether you say any words that we use to express that sense of connectedness to something really sublime, something, the quantum field, or
Yeah.
something very sublime.
Yeah.
You can say any amount of words, but it is one and the same thing. If you say it is the Christ within is also what consciousness is.
Then what is the difference that Eckhart's saying between the Christ within and presence?
There is no difference.
Then if there's no difference, then why is it that Eckhart says here, Christ refers to your indwelling divinity, regardless of whether you are conscious of it or not? Well, inside of us, do we not have presence, whether we are aware of it or not?
I'm trying to find that quote.
Sure.
Now I cannot find that indwelling divinity. Okay, you may have to explain it one more time. Say
Sure.
that one more time. Sorry, what?
I'm sorry, ma'am?
Can you please say that one more time? The indwelling divinity?
Oh, I'd be happy to. Eckhart says, the only difference between Christ and presence
Mm-hmm.
is that Christ refers to your indwelling divinity regardless of whether you are conscious of it or not. So my question is not presence also within us, whether we are aware of it or not?
Yes, presence is there even though we are aware of it or not. Yes.
Correct. That's how I see it when I reawaken to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a matter strictly of languaging, whether you use the term Christ or presence or Atman or Buddha.
Yeah, I don't know why
It's
Eckhart.
all the same thing, right? It's just languaging that. That's the difference. Is that what you're saying? Because you mentioned languaging a minute ago.
I'm trying to find the exact quote that
Take
you
your
are
time.
referring
I
to.
appreciate your patience with this.
For whatever reason, I cannot find. You said it's indwelling divinity, right?
I'll read it in its entirety. It's only 1.5 sentences long. Quote, The only difference between Christ and presence is that Christ refers to your indwelling divinity, regardless of whether you are conscious of it or not, whereas presence means your awakened divinity or God essence.
I don't know why Eckhart said it that way. Why, but to my knowing, whether you say Christ within, whether you say divinity, whether you say Christ consciousness, whether you call it consciousness, all of it is referencing to that one and only consciousness,
Right?
that connectedness to something higher, something sublime, something
Right.
that cannot be named, like the thou shall remain nameless, right? In the Tao Te Ching, they say it shall remain nameless, right? That's what I feel.
Right. Right.
That's my knowing of it. Whether you call indwelling divinity or non-indwelling divinity, all those are just words. Don't get absorbed in the words.
Correct.
The
I'm with you.
the experience needs to be that the more we go into that nobodiness, the nothingness, the more we
Right.
go into stillness, we connect to the Christ within. We connect to that indwelling divinity,
Yes, ma'am.
right? And
So
that is the connection to consciousness.
yes.
That is a connection to the mystical. That is a connection to unlimited synchronicities, unlimited opportunities, unlimited possibilities. That is our connection. Is that oneness?
Yes. And it doesn't, and of course, it does not matter if someone's a Hindu, a Buddha, a Christian.
It doesn't matter.
That's just to me the cover of the book, but the way you described it is how I see it also. So,
Patricia is here as well. Patricia is here as well. Can I have her chime in, Wyatt?
I'm sorry?
Patricia is here as well. Can I have her talk about this as well? Patricia, you want to give Wyatt some, and I'll try and find the quote so that we can all be
okay. Okay.
Go ahead, Patricia.
Thank you. Hi, Patricia.
Hi. Happy to be here.
I always learn a lot from you.
I think that I might kind of understand why Eckhart made the differentiation between the Christ within us and presence. And so when you said, when you read that quote and when Poonam said it too, I realized that it is about words. And in itself, the word presence, right? You are present to it, which means you are aware of it. So the consciousness, you might not be aware of it. We say you're conscious, but not really aware of it. But if you're present, if there's presence, you are aware of it. So you are aware of it, the Christ within, the Buddha within, you are. And I think it has a different vibrations. Like when a person comes into the room and they are driven by ego, they're running on programming, on those things, it's a different sensation than a present person comes in, that they're just in the moment, they're very aware. There's different quality of that experience, even for people around. And I think that that's what he means, like to be present. The presence is what you are aware of. And that's where the free will can happen. Because otherwise we are run by the programs, of our conditioning. And yes, we have the Christ within us. We have the possibility because it's there. But unless we are present to it, we can't really utilize its power. That's how I see it. So it is different. I mean,
So-
essence of it is the same. It's just that presence means you're present to it. You're aware of it.
Perfectly said, Patricia. That's exactly what he's saying, because I found the quote. Here it says the only difference between Christ and presence is that Christ refers to your indwelling divinity, regardless of whether you're conscious of it or not. So what Eckhart is saying is whatever he says Christ or Christ consciousness, it's that consciousness, but we are not aware of it. Exactly like I said, Wyatt, that it is consciousness, still it is consciousness. And he's saying, whereas presence means your awakened divinity or God essence. So awakened divinity is just that you are aware of being aware.
Right.
The moment you're aware that there is a awareness, or there is this background in which the sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts are arising, that is your God essence or your awakened divinity. Does that make sense, Wyatt?
Poonam, I got to call right back in. I'm so sorry this happened, but something flashed on my screen as I was listening to Patricia, and I scrolled up to get rid of it, but somehow it activated it. That's the music in the background. I'm very sorry to both of you and everyone else on the call. I'll call right back in. I'm
We
so
can
sorry. I'll be
we
right
can-
back in like 3 shakes of a leg here. Thank you
Okay,
for
go
understanding.
ahead. Go ahead. Thank you.
Yes. Little
Okay.
disturbance in the force.
Let me post this part.
I mean, in those words, there is hope. What Eckhart is saying, that we are that. We can get rid of it. We don't have to do anything to get there. It's there, but awareness of it and awakening to it is what makes it more powerful. Because otherwise, our life energy, our life force, is just being constantly wasted. It's leaking. We cannot create anything new
I'm
out of
gonna
that.
post exactly what he said.
Okay, whether
Oh, sorry. I'm gonna put myself on mute so that it doesn't play.
It is a very interesting differentiation, but I'm glad that he touched upon it, because I think it's almost like we have this gift. He put in one of this book that the beggar is sitting on this box, right?
In
And-
The Power of Now,
Yes.
that we are
And
sitting
he-
on a box with millions of dollars of
Yeah.
wealth, and we are not aware of it. Right?
Yeah, that's the metaphor. So
Okay. So that's what he says. The only difference between Christ and presence is that Christ refers to your indwelling divinity, regardless of whether you're conscious of it or not. Whereas presence means your awakened divinity or God essence.
so that element of being awakened to it, it's what makes.
And awakened, the only thing awakened implies is we are aware of being aware. And that's where I had started this whole conversation when all of you had not joined yet, right? So I was talking about free will, and that is exactly where even, and one of the things that I've noticed, like I listen to whenever I listen to radio, I listen about this freedom of speech.
Mhm.
And this freedom of speech, even freedom of speech cannot be freedom of speech until awareness arises and we are self-aware of what we are speaking.
Mm. Otherwise, we're just conditioning. We repeating,
Exactly. We are just
generation beliefs.
exactly. I heard like one of the things that I heard on like the news was President Trump calling Marjorie Taylor Greene Marjorie Taylor Brown, right? Because she turned against him or something. So green turns brown, right? It is such a conditioned pattern to go just snap at the other person. I can see how the human ego or human thinking mind thinks, right? That
And
I'm hurt, my
uh,
ego is hurt, my
Mhm.
ego is hurt. So how can I like
React.
be spiteful back to this other person, right? And he's had like the most incredible, what I find incredible thing about him is his acronyms for people or his titles for people are so very appropriate. Like I couldn't even like fathom how he came up with the Marjorie Taylor Brown, that it's green and brown when they turn it's brown, like grass turns from green to brown, right? And then he calls President Biden, he calls him Sleepy Joe, right? So I was like, oh my God. I mean, even that requires intelligence, right?
Yeah.
That you have to appropriately find a title for another person. So
Stereotyping and such. Yeah, he definitely uses the knowledge of generations how to be mean basically, and how to no, it's like ironical, it's sarcastic, it's just making fun of others, using language that's been around.
centuries.
But
Okay, Wyatt, join. Wyatt, you're on mute though.
about the free will though, the way to get there, I think that's what Dr. Joe offers in his courses. And he says that there is an old programming, there's an old me, and there's a new me. And between the painful past and joyful future, there is a different choice. But can we make a different choice if we are running by program? No, we cannot. So the only way to make a different choice, which means have that free will, is when we are present in the now, the generous present moment. And how we get there, we have to get over the analytical mind, who wants to go in familiar things, the same repeating. So how can you be free if you just slave to your patterns and you don't even see them? That's the horrible thing. So once you actually starting to see them, that's the power of awakening, starting to the observer in us starting to separate,
Right.
that we are not that patterns, we are not the thoughts, not feelings, not behaviors. There's the observer. And then that's where it all starts, this beautiful process of realizing that we are an expression of consciousness.
So Wyatt, have you joined?
Funny, it's actually interesting that you mentioned about the free will, because over the weekend I was engrossed in Gaia series by Richard Rod about gene keys. And he was explaining, it's like 10-part series about, how to read gene keys, what, the gene keys, the paths. we got the book, I just wanted to see a little more in depth what, you know, he's about to say. It was fascinating. And he was talking about two ways. There is a way of evolution for each human, that we have those gene keys. We have to overcome our shadow through the gift to get to the city. So this is the evolution part, the strive to overcome the shadow, which we humans have. And there is the involution, when the consciousness or divinity is going into our lives. Like, and then he said, because in the consciousness, in the quantum field, there is no time, there is no free will. So everything is already done. Everything. So it's like those two, I know, involution and evolution is fascinating, how that two things are happening in the same time. It's that, you know, part of divinity that is like, it pours into us. But once it does, it's already set. It was decided, like even with the contracts, soul contracts, right? On a higher level, everything was already decided. So here we are. Do we have a free will or not? If everything was already decided before we even came to this life. But it's on in a different in a different field, it was decided, than here on the play of 3D reality. In 3D reality, we try to execute that free will by overcoming the programming, the shadow, you know, the low energy. So it's like most things in spirituality, it's a paradox. It's just a beautiful paradox.
Grateful for the insights and wisdom shared, Patricia. Thank you. I don't know if why are you able to speak?
How about Josie? Did Josie speak today?
No, but she was kind enough to let me know I was speaking all this time and I had myself on mute because there was nobody on the call, right? I was talking and talking. And in the first 8 minutes are me talking and nobody speaking. Like there was no audio. She was kind enough, like so grateful. Grateful for all of you.
But your energy was speaking. So just your beingness was important.
Thank
like
you.
Wyatt said, yeah, generosity and kindness inside is what you offer to all of us. So what do you think about free will? Do you think that there is a difference between you executing free will today versus 10 years ago? Do you know how that happens? So there's like, do you feel that you have a free will in every single moment or just sometimes?
Now, at this point in time, yes, I have free will. Because this presence, like no matter how much my thinking mind is occupied, I'm aware that I am occupied. If that makes sense.
It does. It does.
Right? And the moment you're aware that you're occupied, you will not get pulled into whatever is going on. I think Wyatt is off mute.
Yeah, I am off mute. Would you please read again what you read a few minutes ago when I did something wrong on the phone and couldn't hear you? Because I think with what I heard Patricia say, that, and I'm using my word, that presence is more potent, it's more powerful. And I'd like you to follow up please, again, Poonam, and read what you did from Eckhart, because I think that the answer, the understanding I was looking for is there in each of what you both said. So could you please read that again, Poonam, if you'd be so kind?
Sure. Thank you, Wyatt. Thank you for your kindness in asking the question. What Eckhart says is the only difference between Christ and presence. And this is what I'm saying, Eckhart, here, what Eckhart is doing here, Wyatt, he is just trying to explain in his own words, right?
Yeah.
An unaware person and an aware person. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. The unaware person is, this is the description. The only difference between Christ and presence is that Christ refers to your indwelling divinity, regardless whether you are conscious of it or not.
Right.
Whereas presence means your awakened divinity or God essence. So when you're awakened to the fact that you have this presence, then he's calling it awakened divinity or God essence, whatever he may call it, right?
Right.
But all of this is just words, play of words. Why? Realize whether we have presence or we have beingness or we have Christ or Christ essence, it is always the same. It is presence. In one aspect, we are not aware of it. When the thinking mind, when the thoughts are constantly, when, let's say this is thoughts, right? There's a thought. There's no gap. When the gap arises, when there's a gap between our thoughts, this gap is presence, is what Eckhart is saying.
Yes.
And when we didn't have gap, right? When we were thought. When we were thought. When there was no gap, when there was no presence, we still had Christ's essence within us. That was our indwelling divinity. There was always the divinity is always there within us. It's just that whether we are aware of it or not. And that's all he's saying. His presence is divinity, that you're aware of your divinity. But doesn't mean that your divinity, I mean, everything is divine. Even this bottle of water is divine. Because it has consciousness, it is imbued with consciousness. Right? This microphone is divine. It's imbued with consciousness. That monitor is divine. It's imbued with consciousness. Everything is imbued with consciousness, with Christ's essence. And all that is
presence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
And this is what Einstein also said, that there's two ways to live. One, like nothing is a miracle, and the other way that everything is miracle. Miracle is the divinity in it. Right? That's what he saw.
What was your question, Wyatt?
So presence, thank you for that, Patricia. So Poonam, presence was there before people created Christ consciousness, or that is, labeled the presence as Christ consciousness. Is that what you're saying? That the Christ within is a label. Atman is a label. The Buddha within is a label created by people for presence.
Trying to describe what it is. Yes. It's just words.
Do I have that?
Yes.
Yeah, they're words.
They're words. To explain the same thing, that there is awareness or there is an indwelling divinity within us. The divine is within us and all around us at all times. Whether you call it Atman, whether you call it Christ consciousness, whether you call it Buddha nature, whatever you may call it, it is always there, and it always has been there. It was there when you were 1-year-old, when you were 2-year-old, when you were 3-year-old, when you were 5-year-old, 15-year-old, 30-year-old. It was always there.
Oh, I got it. I got it. Oh, this is so great. So I recall in Eckhart Tolle's first book, where he mentioned in the beginning that this energy, this consciousness, he chooses to call it presence. So it doesn't matter what we call it, as each of you have been saying, you and Patricia, it's still the same consciousness, whether we call it presence or Christ within or Atman or Buddha or whatever. And these are just simply words. And so presence is just a word to describe it.
You got
And
it.
it's all divinity.
You got it. The only
it's-
difference that Eckhart is making in that paragraph is he's saying when we start to use the word presence, that means we are aware that we are aware. We are self-aware.
Yeah. So
I mean-
presence is aware that we're aware. And yet is not, are you also saying that presence, the term that Eckhart Tolle uses, is no
A label.
different than any of the other
Correct.
terms to describe it, correct?
You got it. You got it.
Oh, yes! Thank you both
You got it.
very much. This is so great. This
You
is
got
so hot.
You
Oh,
got it.
gosh. Oh, wow. I'm giving you
Eckhart
both a
is-
hug through the satellite.
Aw, because so he's just trying to use words to try and explain something that words cannot be used to explain, because we cannot see
Yeah.
presence, right? Presence is, it's invisible. Like Dr. Deepak Chopra says, it's non-local, right?
Yeah.
So you cannot see presence, so you cannot touch it. So you can just use words to say it, whether you call it Atman, whether you call it Christ consciousness, you call it indwelling divinity. All Eckhart is saying is one aspect of it is that it was always there. And another aspect of it is now you're aware that it is there. When you're aware it is there, then that is presence. That's what he's saying. That's all.
I got it. Thank you both, all of you on this call, and especially you and Patricia. Wow, and I'm experiencing it right now. Expressing it through words, and yet the experience is so much deeper than the words. I'm aware of this oneness, aware of the awareness.
Beautiful.
And wow, yes, it is beautiful. Thank you both very much. Wow.
Awesome. Yes.
Yes.
And what I would say is, I was talking about, it's the holidays, and right before the holidays, what Eckhart says is most relatives, that aunt, that uncle is going to act out a certain way, right? And it's Thanksgiving holiday. So just use this present, just use this God essence within you, just use this awakened divinity within you to act differently act with compassion, act with empathy, act with this moment to moment forgiveness that Eckhart talks about, right? That aunt is sarcastic with you, that aunt is scathing with you, or that uncle who is derogatory towards you or condescending towards you, or that sister, brother, cousin, whatever, friend, whatever, just put another relation in that bucket, right? Whoever it may be, please act out of compassion. Please act out of empathy. Please act out of surrender. Be surrender. The lesson that I've learned, the greatest lesson I've learned from Eckhart is surrender, the inevitability of the isness of the present moment. No matter how your relatives are acting with you, just surrender to the isness of this moment. It's okay. It's okay for your kid to throw a tantrum right there in the middle of their 20 relatives around you, and your kid is throwing a tantrum. It is okay. Allow this moment to be as it is, as Eckhart says. How's that to take away for Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Forgiveness, moment to moment forgiveness, surrender to the inevitability of the present moment. And with that, have a joyful Thanksgiving holiday, everyone. We will meet in 2 weeks. And then we won't have meditation this Friday. We'll have it after the Thanksgiving holiday, like that Friday, right? On the 28th of November. So with that, many blessings. It's an honor and a
Thanksgiving.
privilege. Thank you for choosing your divinity.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
You're most welcome.
Happy
Many blessings.
Thanksgiving.
Eternally grateful for all of you. Have a good night.
Good
Bye.
night.
Thank you.